today we have Mr. Linvern Wright, the principal of William Knibb Memorial High and also the president for the Jamaica Association of Principals and Secondary Schools. Good
Principals, no.
afternoon. You correct me. Go ahead.
I said principals of secondary schools, jobs.
Oh, okay,
Jamaica
Jobs.
Association of Principals of Secondary Schools.
It's great to have you, my friend. Now, today
Thank-
probably will be the first of a few sessions we will have with you because education is very important to the development of the nation, not just education, but the socialization of our youngsters. And we
Yes.
think, as the president and also the principal of a school, that we should give you more attention. We hear a lot from the private sector, we hear a lot from politicians, but we
Mm.
think we need to hear more from our principals. You are the real leaders, you know. Yes, you are. I am here today because of a school and a church. I have to give credit for that. So what I want you to do is to start off by telling us about some of the challenges, and we will look at also at some of your recommendations as to what needs to be done. I can tell you what bothers the nation is the amount of violence in the schools, the fights and so on, and they are vicious. And it's clear that there are a number of criminals within the classrooms. So I have strong views about that. Whether you're at a school or not, if you're a criminal, you are a criminal. If you're part of a gang, you're a gang member. And there's some will say keep the children in school. Well, a young gang member in a school can be disruptive of the whole school. What do you do? Keep them in the school and cause 2,000 children to suffer? No. And I think the time has come when action must be taken. A classroom is a place where people learn and socialize. What are some of the challenges that you identify, and then we look at the some of your
Yeah. Well,
recommendations?
good afternoon to all the listeners. I believe that where we are is that we have compromised everything so much in our society that
Really?
I think we don't understand how much if we compromise on what a quality educational experience ought to be for a child and not compromise on the purpose of education and its value to the rest of us as a country, then I think some of the issues that we have we're going to have. Um, One of the things that has happened, you spoke about the violence, is that nowhere in Jamaica is a safe space anymore. Uh,
Nowhere. Not
as
even
a result,
church.
right, nowhere is a safe space anymore. And so what we have, and the safeness of the space doesn't just have to do with guns. Socially, emotionally, mentally, these spaces are not safe anymore. And so the battle
Yes.
is not even just with the fight. You know, as you already hear, we battle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers. You know, if you want to look at it as all of that. So the fact is that because there's so much disconnect in society between what really we ought to have our children become.
Yes.
Some people think that we should just leave them to be free and loose. Other people feel that there ought to be some things that constrain them. So
Just
there's
anyway, come
right,
anytime, talk to
r-
teachers anyhow.
right. So
Freedom of
there's that,
expression.
right. But I call it looseness. I think looseness is different, just freedom of expression. Freedom
Okay.
of expression to me comes with responsibility. Looseness to me, as you know, we talk in Jamaica, so some people have some like loose arguments. So we actually want the children to grow wild and hope that when they become old, they will realize. But that is why we believe in training up on a child in the way he should go. What we really have is that people, to me, don't understand that freedom comes with responsibility. And I think children who have not yet been engaged in a certain way about how to handle things like freedom, we
Yes.
actually figure that everything ought to just happen for them without anything to constrain them. And I say, when we allow them to act as they want
Mhm.
without feeling that nothing should constrain them or regulate them, then we're going to have a problem. It is why we have the lawlessness we have now. Because these children come up in school the way they come up, and sometimes we beg for them or we do whatever. And to be honest with you, let me put it like this. Our our children are like this because our adults have let them.
Oh, so you do
So
what you want to do at home, like around the homes.
and not just home, sometimes in the schools too. Because I
Yes.
think sometimes teachers are tired, but I appeal to my colleagues to say our tiredness is no excuse for any kind of relaxed attitude. Because the truth is
Mm-hmm.
that when the rest of society is in a state of they're satisfied with what is happening. We are the ones who are supposed to be dissatisfied. We are the ones who are supposed to be standing up against it, because that is what teaching is all about. And so I understand how tough it can be for teachers, but we still have a responsibility.
It must be tough, Mr. Principal. You talk to a student, either say a gang member come for you or the parents come to the school ready to fight and so it must be rough.
We can go now to physical security because the
Yes.
truth is that many of us really live here because we love it. We really, really, really are tied to Jamaica.
You're
But
dropping words for me now.
no, the truth is that
Yes.
if you really, if you're rational, you don't want to live here, you know, sir.
When
No,
them
that's
tell some of my siblings tell me fool.
yes. If you're rational, if you start thinking of it, especially if you have
Yes.
family overseas and people just will say to you, you notice people see here as a little holiday here, so it has become a little tourist destination. So
Yes.
they kind of quarantine the fun in a particular space. So we can't
Yes. Yes.
benefit from tourism the way we're supposed to benefit from it, because certain spaces are not safe for your visitors.
Mm-hmm.
And that point I make all the time is that if it is Jamaica can be safe, we need to ensure that Jamaica is safe for all of us so that the visitors can enjoy it, not the other way around. But you have no Jamaicans running to go to a hotel to get a little enjoyment, a little safe space. I think Jamaica itself ought to be so safe. And that's why I say no tourism minister can be successful until all of Jamaica is a
Mm-hmm.
tourist space. That's how I put it.
It is just amazing. We have another 3 minutes left, and it seems to me that we can only talk about one area today. And as I said before, so long as I am in charge of this microphone here, yourself and others will need to come on more often, because I'm
Yeah.
telling you, it's election season, and some of us, would like to hear the politics, but sometimes we're tired of it. And we hear the
Yeah.
business people who sometimes, I'm a friend them though, they think they
Mm.
run the whole country. And everybody wants to hear what the private sector has to say. But we need to go back to the days when everybody wanted to hear what teacher has to say or the
Mm.
principal has to say, because I still have hope in our teachers. What we are doing is we're looking for the police officers now to solve the problem. And
Mm.
when you have socialized a society in a particular way, the only thing the police do about is probably they can talk to you, but it's to arrest you. And when you pull a weapon at them, everybody blasted the commissioner had his speech a while ago. And I
Mhm.
find it so humorous, Mr. Principal, when somebody said the police job is to disarm. Now I will tell him, why not join the police force, and when a gunman pull a gun at you, you think of disarming or aiming for the foot. The second you think of aiming for the foot, that's the second your life will be snuffed out. Now that
Mhm.
isn't to say that you don't have
Mhm.
some policemen who don't go above board.
No,
Yeah.
and that's why I say, the real thing that we have to look at in society
Yeah.
is balance. We have to
Balance.
teach our students balance, our police have to learn balance, because at the end of the day, no matter what, those of us who know better, we have a responsibility. I deal
Yes.
with issues at school sometimes where I really have to call a teacher to say, look here, you didn't deal with things right.
Mm-hmm.
And what I hope the commissioner will do, if police don't do it right, he will say it. Because one of the things you have to understand, for me as a principal to keep the goodwill of my parents, I
Right,
have to
right.
be fair and I have to be just. And I have to try to deal with things equitably. And I think a police force and a commissioner has that responsibility. I'm not saying Dr. Blake is not doing that, because I think he's looking at his members and he also has a set of men to build morale to.
Right.
But I also think
I
that you,
tell you what, other
yes,
people don't have to follow the rules and regulations. I have to. Time is on also.
no
I'm
problems.
going to take a break and ask you to log back in again. And then it seems as if we will only be able to talk about the crime and the indiscipline, especially as it is
No
affecting our
problems. We
schools
can
now,
deal with the other
and
stuff.
how we do it another day. But we have
No
to have you
problem.
again. So we deal with that. How do you deal with that? So let's take a little break. And just want to remind our listeners that we're talking with Mr. Linvern Wright, principal let me just stick to the principal of Knibb Memorial right now. And one of his past students is one of the most famous person in the world. You- You're supposed to put that. Yeah, man. Usain
Correct.
Bold. Right.
Yes.
And he's a Trelawney man. I gather he's a Trelawney man just like myself.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're going to go for the
A
breaks. We
yellow
come back.
young man, you know?
Yeah. Yellow, yeah, man. Welcome back. You're listening to Spot On with Vernon Darby, and my guest is Mr. Linvern Wright. He is the principal of the William Knibb Memorial High School and is also the Jamaica Association of Principals of Secondary Schools president.
Yes.
I got it right, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, it seems to me that we'll only be able to talk about the sort of well, I know you have disciplinary challenges, and that's some of them the school can deal with. So let's
Right.
look at some of the well, I have been seeing some videos being circulated, and I must tell you, they say we should not circulate them, but that is how we've been able to identify some of these youngsters. And when a youngster is over the age of 12 and 30, 13, 14, and 15, and they do certain things, then I must tell you that youngster is a criminal. Now, the question is how the school treats that. Do they keep it quiet, trying to protect the name of the school? How do we deal with that when we have young criminals
I
beating
think
up other
most schools,
boys?
most schools deal with things like that, but it is not just punishment.
Yes,
Because you see, Vernon, there are some things that you and I maybe knew when we were going to school about how to deal with some things. There are other ways to deal with it. What really is a challenge, and yes, they are wrong and they should be punished.
mm,
But there also ought to be other systems in place to
yeah,
help them to change. There's a philosopher in education that I will sit at his feet, Paulo Freire, wrote this book, Pedagogy of the Oppressed. But in one book, he wrote The Politics of Education. He said it's an illusion that the hearts and minds of men can be transformed when the social structures that make those hearts sick remain intact and unchanged. And one of the things that is happening to us is that we are not making enough investments in changing our social structures. You look at Jamaica, now I can tell about Western Jamaica where I am. We wanted to have Western trams the other day. We had to take it to St. Catherine because our sporting facilities, that could be areas that allow young people to vent. Because
yes.
you know that when many of them are under trauma and they're under stress, just some exercise can help to get rid of it. And young people want to run up and we really have those kind of spaces, in the way we should have it. So we have
And the Chilon, that place in Chilon in Falmouth there, what happened? You see, was if only the goats run races there?
Yeah, man. You see, well, it has changed now, to be honest with you. Some
Yes,
work has been done there and they're having football games there because we hosted some games there. Isa has
right.
hosted games there. But I'm just making the point that if you look at what is happening, the soft skills necessary to
Mm-hmm.
ensure that there is some level of cohesiveness in society where people understand themselves and understand themselves in relation to each other. We're not making enough investments in that. So we talk a lot about academics, we talk a lot about academic improvement, we talk a lot about financial improvement, we talk about many things. But the moral guidance that people should have. People don't want to talk about those things
No,
again.
no,
And people don't want to talk about moral purpose, or politics
no.
has no moral purpose. I was telling somebody that I long to hear an election that's fought on justice and equality and fairness.
The
You
people
know?
that probably people that are interested in that. So the politicians give them what they want.
No, we're not interested in that because it doesn't suit us. But what I can say is that the
Yeah.
generation that's coming, and I'm saying monkey see monkey do, that is what is happening with them.
But
That
hold
is
on. You
with
sound
them.
like the kind of principal that we need more of. I grew
No,
up around this
no,
those
and
sayings, you know.
it's a straight thing to me. I
Monkey
think
smell monkey.
I am very upset with my teachers when we play hypocrite with children
Yes,
because we
yes,
can't pretend and expect them not to see. One of the philosophers in education, right? I can't remember his name right now, but one of the
yeah,
things he said that they learn more by example than by precept.
yes, yes,
So you tell them, but if you show them, they watch what you do. Your child at home, sometimes you see them doing something and hear them say some things they were listening to you, but they never heard. We have to be careful about how we deal with our children. And I maintain that what our children have become is a symptom of what we have made them.
I must tell you, I think I told you outside of this program about a gentleman who came on my program and
Mm,
to support him because he was standing or he doesn't stand for nonsense. You know, about this
mm,
whole dunce argument thing and dunce
mm,
bag. So I said,
mm,
no, man, everybody at him, no, I have to support him. So I called him on the program and the long and short of it, at the end of the program, I said, why you like that? He said, you know, I had a mentor. So I said, let's hear who the mentor is. And he said, Vernon Darby. So I just assumed
mm,
that he listened to my radio program,
mm,
only
mm,
to find out that is my past student. I said, my God, we talk about doctor, uncle. And it
mm,
tells me that as a young teacher then, I didn't
mm.
realize I would have an impression of a man who of that is amazing. So
Well,
you're absolutely right.
I always say sow the seed in us. Maybe other people water it. The important thing is that you had planted a seed.
Yes, yes.
And the important thing is that but we have got to spend some time on social
Mm.
investments. And I think if it is that we look at it and you see what is happening in many of our schools as and many of us are thinking that as a principal that we're throwing too many subjects on the children too early.
But hold on,
They
sir. No,
yeah,
I don't believe it. There's a principal who say that from before them
yes,
body, you know, sir. Prep school.
yes, sir.
But listen, at that age, the kids should
In
be
many
having fun
societies,
and
and I
learning.
think we're learning it now, Vernon. We're learning it now to
Yeah.
ensure we believe in socialization.
Yes.
We're thinking, many of my teachers are telling me at my school, and I've heard other principals speaking to it, that one of the things we really want to do is to look at how we can form attitudes. But you have to train people to that, because the truth is that many of us are not really trained to form attitudes with such a huge
Yes.
number of persons. It's
And
a
by the
different.
way, I'm using
Mhm.
this program to push an idea. I was involved, I was in charge of the Duke of Edinburgh Award. It's a colonial program, but it's still good. I'd love us to have a national socialization program where
Mhm.
students are involved in the community service. They are rewarded for it. We give awards to rich people and big people who, they don't even
Right,
need it. We need to have
right.
a system, not only passing exams, but when
Mhm.
they lead, when they participate in certain things, we reward them. And I'm
Mm.
praying, I hope I can get your support, that we need a national socialization program where when
No,
students do well, they are recognized. And when they
well,
go there, they get the silver medal, the gold medal, and what have you. Well, we
I'm,
know we need to
I'm
have that.
totally for that, son. Once where we are now is that we need to be having something that, when I went to college, I said you must accentuate the positive.
Yes,
Those
yes.
things that are good need to be lofted, you
Right,
know.
right.
Mhm.
Which college you went to?
I went to Michael College.
You mean it was in those days when I was younger, it was the Michael College
Well,
and
I
it
have
was
some
called,
very good friends who never went to Michael, so I just leave it at that.
they said, Mike,
They are wonderful people making great marks in education. So
and let
I'm
me tell you about Mike over the years. Every
yes.
single
It's
principal,
Michael week this week, by the way.
you say, no, you don't wait
Yes.
to go to one of my programs. These my coders
Yes,
I
and
can't
we
keep up
can
with
say
them,
hi to no, it's Michael week. It's Michael week. We can say hi to Dr. Pinnock too. I know he's
Yes.
doing work that we're supposed to talk to. But I don't think anything wrong in saying,
Next time I'll charge you.
blessings to Michael. Yeah.
You need to send some information about that too, because
No
very
problem.
important. What Michael
Yes.
shows us is that they
Mm.
always have some principals who they make their name nationally. They're respected. Uh, all the principals, and that's where I think Jamaica needs to go back to. Now, the most beside the sports, now the most popular people in this country are convicted criminals who live a terrible life, and we can't have that because the young people are seeing these people.
No, popularity is what is exactly what it is in us.
Yes,
What we really want to go is with reputable people.
reputable people. Right.
So in a lot of instances, you always will have the popular and the companies use them to make their money.
Oh, I
They use
see.
them to do their ads. But we know the culture of advertising, who it
So hold
appeals
on.
and what it does.
I'm going to tell
But
you,
we
you
have to
look good
teach
on
our children to be
camera.
critical
You
thinkers.
speak very well. So what? We
Mhm.
couldn't put you into a commercial.
I
It's just
don't know.
amazing.
No, you have to fit the bill, because a commercial is about oxytocin and how you feel. Maybe I'm more about how you think.
Ah, I
Because some
see
of
what
these
you
things, if you
mean.
think, you don't buy them.
You don't buy it.
So
You're classic, Mr.
my
Principal.
ethics couldn't cause me to endorse something because I'm not about money.
Yes, yes,
So to
yes.
understand how some of these things work.
So that is why we have asked you to be some of these commercials because you'll be standing for certain things. It's just amazing. I tell you
Yeah.
what, should have a little musical break. We probably have to bypass that because I really want us to look at the crisis that we don't have. And when you come back, look at other things, those hardened criminals, and there are some of them. I'm not talking
Mm.
about the little fight in school and so on. We're talking about those who they're
You mean
part of
hardened
gangsters.
criminals in schools?
What's that?
We hardened criminals where? You mean in
In
schools?
the schools. You don't see them when they
Yes,
come there, but what do
and
you
look
do? Do
here.
you
You
keep them?
see, let me tell you what we have
Yeah.
done, Vernon.
Mhm.
Our education system is an apartheid education system, and that's not originally from me, but I agree with it.
I was going to tell you that I have copyright
What
on
we
that
have
one.
done, what we have done, and is our ministry has done it with the collusion of many of us too.
Yes.
We have given a set of schools, a set of children who are likely to be from a certain social status or social background.
And we call them
Because
traditional.
because if you're academically doing well, you're going to be from a certain social background.
Yes, yes,
And I'm not blaming the schools. I'm simply saying that one of the things it is a little more expedient
yes.
to place them all over there and another set over there and say, okay, this is that kind of school, that is that kind of school.
Apartheid in
Because it
education.
suits many of us.
Yes.
Where we need one of the what I can live with that if what we understand is that when we send these children to the down, right? When we
Yes.
send them all to them, when we pick the ones from the downtown who do well and send them elsewhere, and the ones who are not doing well, we put them at that school with all the social issues. We are going to understand that proportionately they are going to need more guidance counselors, they're going to need more social work
Exactly.
and the systems, because there's nothing wrong with placing them together if it is that you're going to get the kind of assistance for them and have smaller groups. So for example, Multicare Foundation, led
Hmm.
by people like Joe Matalan, doing some good work.
Yes.
You heard of Grace Baston and
But it
Faith.
can be a little drop here and a little drop there. It must be a
No,
national thing.
and that is one of the reasons we need to talk next about transformation and what transformation represents, because I don't get that it is doing what it ought to be doing.
By the way,
Because
sir, you have
yes,
I haven't talked to you long enough, and it's amazing that you are now saying things that I've been saying for a long time. I know you must have been saying for a very long time. So it means that more of us need to start to work together. I've always talked about the apartheid system in education. And it
yes,
is
sir.
wrong. Another thing too, though we haven't talked much about the hard criminals in school, but another thing we do, which I disagree with, to be promoting the students from class to class, whether or not they are competent at a particular level. It is wrong. We are destroying the youngsters, and that
But
is why they become
but
dysfunctional and disruptive.
but it's two things that needs,
Yes,
It needs curriculum adjustment, and
exactly.
it needs more people,
Mhm.
because as I said, when you're in intensive care, is a number of doctors come to you, not the
Mhm.
same number like if I have normal illnesses. Many of our children are in intensive care with the same one doctor,
My God.
the same one teacher. As a matter of fact, they're
So if
intensive
you have
care.
one doctor, then guess what? You must
When
dead.
you're in intensive care, there's a
You
lot of
must dead, you know.
specialists who come to you, You do
Yes,
a lot
yes,
of diagnostic work, a lot of specialists come to you. What is
yes.
happening is that we, as I said, and I can go back to how I started, we have these children that we have put all in one place,
Hmm.
who, because they are not at the levels of development that they ought to be, because they don't have the academic background to take on the syllabuses that we're trying to teach them, because many of them are not socially adjusted,
Yes.
we put them in the same schools and play hypocrite that they should be measured by the same standards as a CXE.
Because it's
And
a
it's,
fact, you know, you're
you understand
promoting
it?
from class
As
to
a matter of
class and
fact,
you,
I call it a cruel hypocrisy. That's
yes.
what we do.
Mhm.
What really ought to be happening in those schools, that you need to have, really and truly, when you're dealing with literacy with those children at that level, you shouldn't have more than 1 to 10 or 15 students.
Yes,
One
yes.
teacher to 10 or 15 students, because they need individual attention, right? And or close attention, which if you have one teacher to 35 of those students,
Yes.
problematic for the teacher.
But can you imagine? And this I'm saying it rhetorically for you, but can you imagine you have students coming in at grade 7 and they're at the level of grade 2 or 3, and they spend 5 years and they haven't moved at all. But they
Mm.
also teach them grade 8, grade 9, grade 10, and grade 11 work. And at the end, what do they get? A survey ticket an expensive gown, and money spent, all the money spent because everybody coming to show off. We are wasting time, Mr. Principal. And I'm not as tactful as you. We are a bunch of jokers. What we need to do, we need to have the children leave school at a particular level, and we don't have to pack up the school. Somebody tell me, say, school can't hold. Nonsense. You spend 5 years, but you leave at grade 9. When you leave grade 9, you can go to adult institution. You get a certificate that you left at grade 9. You
Sir
can
Darby,
continue.
I know you don't want to, because as I say, if I come back, we can touch on all of those things. Just listen to
Yes.
me. We have a crisis in education. We have a crisis of quality too, because a lot of our better teachers have gone. Many of our specialist teachers are not here. So while we have that as a crisis in terms of the levels of deficiency or the deficit,
Yes.
we have also, we don't have enough teachers, So
But
you just
you want me to tell you something too? Coming from 2
you
years,
just imagine, what is happening. I am still out of a teacher at this time in my school, and I was 3 out in January. I mean, I have it at 2 extra now, but I still have to wait for another.
I can't tell you which country I can get it from, but I tell you off. Go on. But it is rough. And I'll say, not only the state has a responsibility, but I remember when I was there are many things can be done. I feel, for example, we need to build cottages. And it's an investment for our teachers right across the island, because if a young teacher...
May I make a point?
Yes.
Cottages is not the problem. What really the problem is now is that and I'm going to make 2 quick points because I know we're supposed to. One, very few parents now encourage their children who are bright to go into education, right? Because society is so much about money and profit, and I understand it.
Yes.
I just think it's not a sustainable approach to things, because you cannot have. The other thing is that we don't pay our teachers well, so nobody wants to pay them. So you understand a parent who does that kind of thing.
Right.
But if it is, so mathematics is suffering from that big time, because it is not your people who are getting your ones in math who mostly are going into colleges to teach math. And you really need that kind of thing, because it pay not good, because people don't encourage their children to go wherever.
But the point I was making, Mr. Principal, that if parents and everybody were coming in together, you have their cottages, you have, when I went to school, like you're a principal, you don't have to go market. No. We get food, go give you every evening. So
but why don't we pay teachers so they can live well, so that they can come?
I agree. But I'm saying,
I think that's where we ought to go. I don't think in a time like this you want to be at the
I agree, but I'm saying
no. What you want, teachers are going to live dignified. Teachers are going to understand that because a part of status now, unfortunately, is how you can afford a certain life, right? I personally don't crave that, but I know that many of the teachers coming up now would like to know that when they're out there, there's a certain status they get from that.
But I understand, I agree with the more money, but I'm saying we need to make a start somewhere. So the country don't have the money. Make a start, no man. The figure, I don't get the figure that we make a start.
But Vernon, why do we say the country don't have the money for these things, and we can find it for so many other things? I mean, there's no government I have seen when election is coming up, spending is not up. And let me give you a contrast with what is happening now. We see how many billions of dollars being spent on the road now, and I understand that.
Careful I say just being spent, because I'm going to ask how.
I just make a point, but at least it's committed to it.
Yes.
Up to now, transformation in education has gone 2 years.
Yes.
It should cost $21 billion so far per annum to fund transformation in education. We have only spent $6 billion per annum for the last 2 years. There's a $30 billion deficit on transformation right now, right? And we are saying education is an imperative, but we have found it to do other things. And I'm not saying the other things ought not to be done, but I believe that where there's a will, we'll find a way. I don't get the impression that there's a will for education. There's a lot of talk.
But that's what we're good at, Mr. Principal. You know that. We are good at talking. Even myself, but then I said some of us have to talk. But for those who don't know, and I don't only talk, I do work behind the scene. But you're right. Talk and PR is becoming another big thing. But I must tell you, because I'm so passionate about this thing, I don't realize that I have a program and I'm coming to an end. But we'll have to talk again, Mr. Principal. We need to talk some more.
At your pleasure, sir.
Every single person should know who you are as a president, and your voice should be as strong as the prime minister or anybody else. Anyhow, A part was speak about the road, the money I spend, but watch the pothole them. By next week, the pothole shall reappear again. But if you spend it on education and impact a young person, then
Mhm.
more than likely 20,
Just,
30
just,
years
just,
time.
just, just ensure accountability.
A final point,
All
I'm
of
in
those
trouble,
things.
sir. So final
Mhm.
point before you leave.
Yes.
Make
I
your
didn't.
final point before you leave us.
No, my final point is that I know we have lots of challenges, but
Yeah.
I, as I always try to say to to teachers, look here, it's rough. Sometimes it feels like you're at the end of it and you're really getting all of it and having to do all of the things. It's fine to it's fine to understand that we're doing a tough job and we just
Yes.
need to do what we have to do. But we'll talk again, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Yes,
Linvern Wright. And I'm going to make sure
yes.
your voice is heard in every corner and the teachers are heard also, because everybody don't have big chat on radio and television. And the people who can influence us positively don't. That's my part that I'm going to play. Thank you very much, Mr. Linvern Wright, the principal of the William Knibb Memorial High School there in Trelawney. He's also president of the Jamaica Association of Principals of Secondary Schools.